Mojtaba wastes no time punishing Trump for what Iran calls foolish aggression. An AIDS warning tied to Mojtaba now appears to have turned into deadly action. The IRGC claims to have embarrassed the U.S. military again with strikes on Gulf targets. Iran says the barrage on bases in Kuwait and Bahrain is only a teaser before a full Hormuz closure. Iran's IRGC has claimed responsibility for the latest attacks on Kuwait and Bahrain. The IRGC said it targeted U.S. military bases in the two Gulf states, according to Times of Israel. Iran said the attack was retaliation for U.S. strikes on its radar sites earlier in the night. IRGC statement said, and I quote, "At 1:30 this morning, for offending tankers, with the instigation and guidance of the U.S. aggressor army, without coordination and without paying attention to the warnings of the IRGC Navy, intended to leave the Strait of Hormuz illegally." Following this incident, at 2 o'clock, American drones hit a telecommunications tower in Keshem and a mast in Sirak with 2 projectiles. In response to the aggression of the American child-killing army, 2 American airbases in Kuwait named Ali al-Salem and the remaining important facilities of the 5th Fleet of the American Navy in Bahrain were immediately targeted by IRGC Aerospace Force ballistic missiles. "We warn the aggressor and child-killer enemy that if these evils are repeated, a limited response will not suffice. You will be responsible for the consequences of the complete closure of the Strait of Hormuz on the exit of your oil and gas." Unquote. Meanwhile, the U.S. military appears to be trying to contain the fallout, saying Iran launched 7 ballistic missiles. U.S. officials said the missiles were fired toward Kuwait and Bahrain, according to Times of Israel. The missiles were launched hours after the U.S. said it had thwarted 4 Iranian one-way attack drones. U.S. Central Command statement said, and I quote, "U.S. forces intercepted multiple Iranian ballistic missiles and drones launched by Iran toward the Strait of Hormuz and Gulf neighbors, June 5. Iran fired 7 ballistic missiles toward Kuwait and Bahrain hours after U.S. Central Command CENTCOM shot down 4 Iranian one-way attack drones that were launched toward the Strait of Hormuz. The attack drones posed an immediate threat to regional maritime traffic. U.S. forces subsequently struck Iranian coastal surveillance radar sites in Gorak and on Keshem Island to defend against further maritime attacks. Initial assessments indicate 6 of the missiles launched by Iran were intercepted and a 7th did not reach its intended target. There are currently no reports of harm to U.S. personnel, and Iranian claims of damaging U.S. 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain are false. CENTCOM forces remain vigilant and postured to continue responding to unwarranted Iranian aggression in self-defense. Unquote. The IRGC claimed the latest strike after a former commander warned of a wider conflict. The latest military exchange began after U.S. forces intercepted 4 drones allegedly heading toward one of the world's most strategic waterways. American strikes reportedly focused on Iranian radar and surveillance sites along the Gulf Coast and near the Strait of Hormuz. Washington says the action was taken to protect regional security and ensure the safety of international maritime traffic. According to U.S. officials, the drones were intercepted and destroyed before they could reach commercial shipping lanes. The latest confrontation has intensified concerns that the uneasy truce between the United States and Iran may be unraveling. Kuwaiti authorities announced emergency measures after reporting incoming missile and drone threats targeting the country. The military called on residents to remain alert and follow official guidance as security forces responded to the situation. Across the Gulf, Bahrain activated warning sirens and advised citizens and residents to move to safe locations as tensions escalated. A senior advisor to Mojtaba Khamenei cautioned that any new American military action could trigger consequences far beyond the current battlefield. Mohsen Rizoi said, and I quote, "They know that the cost of negotiations is far lower than the cost of war. If they choose military action again, they will enter a dark and endless corridor." Unquote. Iranian officials warned that a broader conflict could spread across key maritime corridors stretching from the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean. Iran says sustained military pressure and economic restrictions risk igniting a wider confrontation across the Middle East. Tehran has reiterated that it is ready to retaliate should Washington launch another round of military operations. The remarks come amid persistent tensions after months of exchanges, counterstrikes, and growing instability across the region. Donald Trump reportedly told senior aides he would end the ceasefire only if Iran was responsible for killing U.S. troops. Trump privately indicated that the death of U.S. personnel could trigger a return to direct military action. The position suggested he was prepared to tolerate limited clashes rather than risk a broader regional escalation. The latest tensions followed some of the most intense exchanges of fire since the truce first took effect. U.S. officials told the Wall Street Journal that repeated Iranian attacks had significantly increased pressure on Trump. Officials also warned the attacks had raised fresh concerns about the long-term survival of the ceasefire. The Wall Street Journal reported that Trump continued to believe an agreement with Tehran remained achievable despite tensions. However, the report said Trump showed little urgency to finalize a comprehensive agreement with Tehran. Trump told the Wall Street Journal it remained possible the U.S. blockade of Iran could continue until Labor Day. The administration was reportedly working on a 60-day framework to guide future negotiations with Iran. The Wall Street Journal said Trump rejected Iran's latest offer and demanded additional concessions from Tehran. He reportedly insisted Iran must make significant concessions before receiving any sanctions relief. Iran maintained that nuclear negotiations could advance only after meaningful financial relief was provided. Tehran continued to seek access to frozen assets as part of any future understanding with Washington.
This is, as you probably have been watching, so from 1922 to present, it really never worked because we took a strong action for a different reason. So they were reciprocating it.
Mr. President, can you explain why...
The negotiation itself has gone very well, actually. Very well.
Mr. President,
it could happen. I mean, if it happens, and it might not happen, who knows? But if it happens, it could happen like over the weekend. But as it stands now, we will go in sometime in the not too distant future. It's very safe down there. You know, we have, with Space Force, we have cameras. Every angle of those three sites are being watched at all times. If anybody went there, we'll see exactly what's happening, and we'll blow it up a little bit further. But as far as getting it, the B-2 bombers did a job like nobody's ever seen. In the night, with no moon, dead darkness, at 1 o'clock in the morning or so, they dropped those bombs, the biggest, just about as big a bomb as you can ever find, and it went down air chutes. It was hard to believe that they can do the technology. It followed a beam right into the air chutes, right, exploded. Very hard to get that material. But I still nevertheless want it. And I don't want to do it if we're in conflict. I don't want to put men in that kind of danger. I remember Jimmy Carter had some bad problems in Iran with the hostages. I don't want to ever put our people in that kind of danger. But when it's over, as of this moment, it's agreed that we will go in with them. We will get it and we will destroy it. It will be destroyed.